Question. Avine, why do I find my memory becoming so obsolete, vague? I used to be somebody who could remember details. I could pluck a memory from 10 years ago and I could tell you everybody's name, where they were from, their parents' name. I could tell you their phone number, what's happening to my memory. And it's not just me. I've spoken to this with other people, my friends, my family, and we're all noticing that our memory is not what it was. What's going on? Well, the answer is, in the 3D matrix, your memory is a construct and it's there to keep you very attached to things like your identity, your 3D identity, not your true identity, which is formless and nameless. It's there to keep you sometimes in loops, so that you're reliving past trauma and you're reliving it in quite incredible detail, which causes the emotional body, the thought body, to stay traumatized, not to heal and move forward. So the 3D old world required you to be attached to the memory of your age, your date of birth, your credentials, your status, so that it could keep you very firmly in that box and in that 3D identity. Now, in 5D, we are entering a more quasi-state between the physical and the non-physical. We are embodying our truer nature, which is multidimensional, which does not require such a static attachment to a 3D number or label or identity. So we do not require the construct of memory in the same way. That's not to say that as a multidimensional 5D being, moving into 6th, 7th, 8th, and so on, you do not have access to all truth. You do not have access to all things that have been recorded in the consciousness of humanity, because you do, and you can access that through alternate states of being. So meditation, out-of-body experiences. A lot of people who have near-death experiences, which are also out-of-body experiences, but that's a whole other video. They're basically the same thing, but out-of-body is where you control the situation. Near-death is where something happens to trigger on that spiritual experience. Many people have reported that they have access to this, what's known as the Akash or the Akashic records. It's also known as the Hall of Amenti. There is a library, which I've been shown this library with files and files and files of information. So everything is recorded. Everything is known from that higher consciousness. But it's different to the construct of the brain memory that we're told. We are told in the 3D, or we were told, that the brain is like a filing cabinet. The brain does not store your memories. Consciousness stores your memories. You don't need to access that old memory construct in this new world. Now, why? Avine, why? Why wouldn't I want to access that? Because when you are present and when you are fully in the 5D frequency, you have access to all the information you need in the moment. You understand that what you need to know when you need to know it is there. It's accessible. It's within you. You do not need to try and pull out this physical mind memory that is attached to an old script of who you are and where you come from and what happened to you. Even science, which is way behind the quantum community, the spiritual quantum community. A lot of the time science will catch up and back up what in the spiritual quantum we've known for many, many years. Although I do believe that science and spirituality will merge, because in some ways they're both truth seekers, and in some ways they're both seeking a similar thing, believe it or not. And I do believe there will be a merge of this, but that's another video. I've been getting so many downloads in the lead up to Summer Solstice 24. It's incredible. I have so much I want to share. There's a lot that I will not be sharing on YouTube because it wouldn't be safe for me to do that, and I just don't feel that it's the right platform for it. But back to memory. So when you are connected to all that is, when you are in alignment with yourself, you don't need to work on brain hardware to know something. Your soul, your consciousness, your body is connected. It's fused. It's in union. So you actually have access to everything that you need to know when you need to know it. It's about tapping into the presence, and that's what we mean when we say be present. It's not just some fancy fancy greeting card. It's actually it's got deep meaning, because in the presence is everything, is consciousness, is you have access to all of that. Like I said, many of us have visited these incredible places of information. So even those of us who consider ourselves psychic, we can tap into the library of that person's Akashic records or life path. It has nothing to do with physical mind. It has nothing to do with the brain. So even modern science is recognizing that we don't actually store memories in the brain, in the top of your head, like we've always been told, which never sat with me. And they're starting to question and to explore how the mind actually works when it comes to memory. But just trust and know that pretty much most of what you've forgotten, you don't need to remember. Okay, we will remember what we need to remember. We will remember what is important to us. We remember what is a priority, which is vital, we remember the most passionate things that we actually care about, okay? If you ask somebody who does not care for a subject to sit in a class and subject themselves to an hour of information, if there's no connection with the information, if there's no draw, they're probably going to come out of that class and you say, what did you learn? And they'll probably say, not a whole lot, because I'm not interested. It didn't spark my enthusiasm. I didn't feel or care for the information. So the way scientists now are even saying how you remember a memory. We've been told that we used to think that our memories were all true, that that's the way it was. And in some respects, it's true if that's your experience of that, right? That's your perspective. But now science is saying that you actually relive the memory every time you think about it. So it's actually a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, right? So we're doing these copies of copies, and in that details get lost, things get changed. Maybe your subconscious wants to move the picture this way, turn it that way. It's a little bit like social media where people manipulate things, and maybe we'll just pretend it happened this way, or maybe we'll pretend this is happening that way. There can be a lot of manipulation in the physical mind when it's relaying a memory, which is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So then you wonder, is that memory that you've copied in the last 20 years, is it actually accurate to what happened at the time? It doesn't matter. What's important is the energy of a situation, the energy of the memory. I love Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks, who is now in spirit. Esther Hicks channels Abraham. And I love when Jerry was alive and he was in hospital for something, and the nurse asked him, she was like doing his, the matrix stuff, give me all your stats, I need to tick the boxes and put you into your little memory box of who you are and what you are. And she asked him what was his age, and he said, I don't know. And he was very sincere about that, and it really, really ticked her off. She was furious at him. Why don't you know your age? This is so important. Yada, yada, yada. And he said, it's not important to me. I really don't care to know my age. I gave that up years ago. I decided it's a construct, it's defining me, and I'm just going to enjoy my life. And of course, this really upset the nurse because she's trying to do her job, understandably. But I just love that. I love that rebel heart, that rebel spirit and he just laughed. He was so playful about it. He genuinely could not remember his age. And I have to tell you, I related to that story so much because there's so many times I don't remember my age. I actually have to go, hang on. People say, how old are you? Or I'm filling out a form. And I'm like, actually, what is my age? Because I just think we're timeless. We are timeless beings. And I was shown that library of information in higher consciousness, and I was able to pull down the files. I was able to see the books. I was able to read things about the past, the present, the future. And even though those states don't even exist, it's all an experience, a perception of time. But my point is, I know that we're timeless beings. I know that we are souls. We've taken on a meat suit in the soul. And I think we really can get caught up with amnesia with that. So it's funny, actually, I'm ending this video and I feel like the angels are giving me the word amnesia. And actually, now I feel like they're saying, you know what? Sometimes amnesia ain't a bad thing. Maybe there's things in the past that are best forgotten. Maybe there's things that you don't want to remember. I know I certainly have memories that I'm happy to let them fade and let them go away. I don't feel we need to re-traumatize ourselves over and over again the way some forms of psychology or therapy would suggest we do. I've never got any benefit from that when I tried it in the past. I know lots of people who've said the same thing to me. So I'm not talking about brain disorders here and dementia and things like that. Although I do feel that dementia and Alzheimer's, and I've spoken to the angels about this many times, when I've had seminars and people have asked about it, they explain that when a person develops dementia, it's actually it's an act of love. It's a gentle step out of their identity in this life, in this physical body, and it's an act of love for those around them. Often the people around them are afraid to let go or have a lot of fear about this person passing. Sometimes the soul involved who actually takes on the dementia and the Alzheimer's is afraid of passing, so they do it. It's like their guides do this in a very slow, gentle fashion, that they start to disengage with their life, disengage with their memories of who they were and the details of their life. So it's all connected. Nothing is, I don't believe in coincidence, there's a synchronicity going on. And that's probably why you're noticing, as you spiritually evolve, as your ascension increases, you're less inclined to, I just find I don't care for those memories, or I feel like the things that I'm supposed to remember, I have an energetic imprint of, and that's enough for my consciousness. The energy, the emotion, the love, the tenderness, the kindness. Sometimes I feel my father, or I walk into a certain place like the Botanic Gardens in Glasnevin and I feel my father. And I might get a little flash of a memory of being a little girl climbing the trees or running around with my brothers. But it's more about, it's the emotional imprint. It's not even about the detail of the memory so much anymore. So just trust that as we move more into the 5D and as we spiritually evolve, we remember what we need to remember, and we don't need to be so pedantic. That's really what's happening. as we move out of the 3D consciousness and go deeper into 5D, we don't need to be so pedantic about the matrix details, labels, and box ticking that we think is important, because we're here to get involved and experience much bigger things than needing to keep track of our age or our weight or our height or what our neighbor, when we grew up, when we were 5, what was our neighbor's full name? And it's like the things that are not important become less important in your consciousness, and that's really what it is. So thanks for the question. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you find this informative and gave you some food for thought, food for soul, I would really appreciate a like and a thumbs up, and you can subscribe for all things spiritual. Thank you so much. Bye bye.